Yesterday, Sayadaw spoke about the truth of suffering and the truth of its cause. These are cause and effect and cause. And these two truths are hard to see, therefore they are profound. But, as Sayadaw mentioned, patipeka vidhammanena supakatang bhaveya, they, by blowing out the obstacles to kusala, the nivaranas, with the three trainings, these two truths become easy to see, they become apparent. And from there, Sayadaw mentioned that dispelling the opposing factors called the nivaranas is dependent on practicing the correct method. And further, what does this practice depend upon? Practice depends upon hearing the method of practice from a good spiritual friend, a kalyanamitta. A kalyanamitta has 7 virtues, and the first of these is piya, P-I-Y-A. The person is beloved because their basic morality is good. They're loved by many, and this quality is very important. A true human, one should be truly human, and with good morality, one is free of blame as well as being well loved. One should be a true human. One should have a truly human mentality, and one should develop better than average human knowledge. So our basic morality is important. Every person should be beloved, should have this quality of being piya, and keep the 5 precepts as a minimum. This is something that doesn't just apply to Buddhists. This is true for everybody in the world. The second quality of a good spiritual friend, a kalyanamitta, is guru. That means the person is respected. Such a person who has these qualities, if they don't need some of their material possessions, they give them to their students to help the students. And they also give freely direction to the student how to be a good person. So without looking for reward or any type of material return, a good spiritual friend gives freely, and therefore they are respected. And these first 2 qualities of being beloved and being respected brings about the third quality, which is bhavaniya. That is, that one is the object of other people's metta. Other people send metta to that person. May our refuge be well, happy, and peaceful. May this person we rely on be happy, be free of all suffering, be well. So this is the quality called bhavaniya, being the object of other people's metta. And this quality is caused by having the first 2 qualities of being piya and guru, being beloved. Because one's basic morality and practice is good, then one is beloved or piya. And because one is generous, both with one's things and then with giving people direction, teaching, one gives freely of one's skills. Therefore one is respected. And because of being beloved and respected, then this bhavaniya quality of being the object of other people's metta, loving kindness, comes about automatically. One doesn't need to do anything to specifically to bring this bhavaniya about. It's caused by the first two qualities of being basically, having basic goodness, good morality, and helping people without expectations, putting them on the right track and helping materially. So with these first three qualities of being piya, guru, bhavaniya, being generous with what one has and with one's teaching, being good, morally good, having good practices, helping others, so one is beloved and respected. And it is because one has good qualities, one has these first three qualities, piya, guru, and bhavaniya, are due to one's good qualities. And having good qualities oneself, one is able to correct others, one is able to tell them what they need to hear. Without good basic practice, without good basic morality and good helpfulness and so on, it won't work for a teacher to try to correct others if they don't have the good qualities themselves. But when one has found a good path, the good path, and wants others also to be good, then one will surely point out both what things others shouldn't be doing if they are doing something wrong, and will point out also what things are good that the students are doing. And this ability to point out what needs to be pointed out to the students, either to prevent them from doing something wrong or to point out what is good, is called vata. And this is very important, a very important quality to have. One needs to be able to tell the students what they need to hear. And the Buddha himself preached because out of wisdom and compassion, he wanted others to be good. He wanted others to become free. So he preached the Dhamma with this in mind. He taught how to have good sila, how to keep the mind pure, and how to develop knowledge, how to become free from attachments, to become free from false beliefs. So this is the fourth quality, being able to speak to the students. And then, if one is a teacher, well, for one reason or another, there may be things that people don't like, and one may receive criticism from others. And if that happens, one has to be able to take it. One needs to be able to be patient when others point out one's faults. One has to listen patiently. And this is called vacana kama. That means being able to bear it when others make criticisms, instead of reacting, getting offended. One has to hear people out. As for oneself, one knows the practice. One knows what is truly beneficial, and to the extent one has been able to, one has developed physical, verbal, and mental purity through practicing the method as much as one can. And therefore one is able to speak about it to others, because one is not only has already practiced, but also one is continuing to walk the path. And because one is walking the path oneself, one doesn't forget what the path is. Therefore, one is able to speak about it to others, knowing that this is true and wanting others to gain the good results. So this is the quality of being able to speak about the profound Dhamma. Gambhirancha katang kata. So one is able to speak about the Dhamma of Satipatthana practice. And having practiced, one can speak about the Four Noble Truths. And one is able to speak about cause and effect relationships as expressed in the dependent origination, paticca samuppada. This is the profound Dhamma. And because of one's practice and study, one is able to speak about it and to instruct others. This is a quality that one needs to have. When one has practiced the profound Dhamma oneself and has come to learn, come to gain the results of the practice, then it is easy to speak to others about how to practice. When one teaches, one leaves no gaps, doesn't leave things out that should be mentioned, and most importantly, one doesn't go the wrong way. The teacher should not go the wrong way, or I'll start that again. So it's important not to cause others to err through one's teaching in the wrong way. So nowadays, there are some people who study from a teacher, first from one teacher, then another teacher, and they go from teacher to teacher, collecting notes, listening to the teacher and collecting notes, making up a notebook. And without any significant practice, they use their notes to teach. And this is not correct. One needs to master the teachings. One needs to possess whatever one tries to teach. And it is a serious fault to cause other people to go the wrong way. So when we say what we think but don't really know, then the Dhamma is unclear and doubt appears. When we don't actually know ourselves and we try to tell that to others, say to others what we think but don't really know, it's not going to be clear. And thus the person will have doubts. So one needs to, if one has approached a good spiritual friend, a kalyana mita, and one has practiced to some extent, so that one understands the way of practice and one has gained some results, then one can explain how to practice to others. This doesn't mean being a teacher. This means helping them to the extent that we have experience. So one can explain what one knows, which is how to practice. When we've practiced ourselves, then we try to explain to others what we really know, then what is true is clear. If we say what we see and really know, true nature is clear and faith appears. So people are sure to have confidence in what we say, if what we say is what we really know to be true based on our practice. So one has to be quite careful about notebook teachers who don't have practice but just have notes. In order to explain about the Dhamma, which is difficult to see and therefore profound, combining both theory and practice, then it goes without saying that one must practice oneself. One has to practice Satipatthana oneself. Just to see the basics of the discernment of nama and rupa is hard. Just seeing the basic cause-effect relationships is hard. These are things that are hard to see. And from there, one comes to see how these nama and rupa, which are related as cause and effect, arise and then pass away, are not satisfactory and are just process without a self. From there, Vipassana knowledge develops in stages, and only when Vipassana knowledge is complete, will one see the truth of Nibbana. One will develop the path and see the truth of Nibbana. The peace of Nibbana is very profound. So while the first two noble truths are hard to see and therefore profound, the second two truths, the truth of Nibbana and the truth of the path, are profound, and therefore they are difficult to see. When we practice and Vipassana knowledge develops in stages, then one dispels the dirt of the nivaranas, the obstacles, and the Dhamma becomes supakata. It becomes easy to see. It becomes very evident. And if one practices through the completion of Vipassana knowledge and to the first stage of Sotapanna, then one will be able to see the Dhamma quite clearly. And if at that point one teaches, one will really be able to do so with the ability to speak about the profound Dhamma, Gambirancha Katan Kata. So in order to really be able to teach, combining theory and practice, one needs to practice oneself. And one also, if one does some study in addition to that, then combining these two, combining actual practice with study, then one will be able to teach from both the theoretical and practical standpoint. And one will be able to teach to the extent of what one knows. So when one doesn't stay within the limits of what one really knows in teaching or trying to explain to others, then problems arise. So it is extremely important that if one is going to teach others, one first of all needs to make sure that one is fulfilled with the practice, and one has to continuously practice. This is very important. If one wants to give something to people who are poor, starving, and don't have enough, this will only work if one has something above and beyond what one needs oneself to survive. It won't work if one goes starving. So one has to have enough for oneself plus more in order to give to others. So in order to teach, one needs to really know a lot. One needs to accumulate a lot of knowledge before teaching to others. Otherwise, what will happen is one goes the wrong way, and from that, one makes a mistake, and then problems arise. So the Buddha said that one first of all has to develop the qualities, the needed qualities oneself. One first of all has to make oneself good, make oneself have the qualities, and then, only then, can one try to teach others. And when one does like this, then the wise person who does like this is not burdened. It's not difficult when one first develops the qualities in oneself, and then only after that tries to help others or teach others. The last quality that a Kalyana Metta, a good spiritual friend, needs is Nojatane Niyojako. So one has qualities oneself. The previous qualities may be complete. So one has abilities, qualities, but because of some mental problem, because of a mental problem, one uses one's students in a way that is not beneficial to the students. This is something that a good spiritual friend should not do. A teacher should not use his or her students in a way that does not benefit the student. And so no matter what, a person must have this quality as a teacher. No chatane niyojako. In an unsuitable way, one should not urge one's students. So these are the qualities that one needs, especially the last one. If one doesn't have this last quality, then one cannot be considered a good spiritual friend. So if one reveres, if there is someone in the world who has these qualities, and one sees someone that one reveres, if one has someone within one's circle that one, whether it's someone one sees all the time or one encounters in some situation or another, if there is someone that one has a lot of respect for, love and respect for, if one sees that person paying respects to another person, then one will be very interested in who that person is. So we know who the person paying respect is. That person is someone who we love and revere, but we don't know who that person is that they're paying respects to. When we see that, we'll be very interested in what is that person going to say. And so when we see that there's someone who has, when we see that there is someone who has the qualities of a Kalyanamita, then one will want to know what they have to say, whatever the situation is, whether it is a person who one sees every day in one's daily life, or whether it's someone sees now and then. When one sees that they have these qualities, one will want to learn from them. One will be interested in what they have to say, and one will have respect for them, and one will ask them to teach. So, if we see someone that we respect going to a teacher like that, then we will be interested in who that teacher is. And this is, now we come to the last section of the Pali, where it is, that Sayadaw started yesterday. It is said, So visesato loke sampavaniyasa garuka tabasa abhipatana hituko. So, for one to have respect and faith in the teaching and in the one who established the teaching, what brings about that faith? At first, this comes about through seeing another person that we revere pay respects to that teacher. So in the Buddhist time, I have to explain, in the Buddhist time, before the Buddha became enlightened, most people in India worshipped the great Brahma, Mahabrahma. And they thought of him as this Mahabrahma, as Paramātta, the Supreme Being. And they thought, this person, this Brahma, Mahabrahma, this person rules us. This person created us. This person gave us a soul. And this Brahma went to the Buddha and asked him to teach. So when they saw this great Brahma on his knees in front of the Buddha, they were very interested in what did the Buddha have to teach. So they worshipped the Mahabrahma. At that time they didn't know about the Buddha, but they saw the Mahabrahma's respect for the Buddha and the Mahabrahma's request to the Buddha to teach. And this Mahabrahma also knew that his making the request to the Buddha would interest others, because he himself was already a noble person. He was an Arya. And so he requested the Buddha to teach. When one practices the Dhamma, the Devas and the Brahmas will surely protect one. So because of the Mahabrahma going to the Buddha to request that the Buddha teach, the people in the time of the Buddha became interested in the Dhamma and in the Buddha, and they had faith and respect in him. Although at the present time we don't have a Mahabrahma, a great Brahma, to urge us about the practice, when someone with ability, whom one respects, can explain about the Dhamma combining theory and practice, one will come to see from this what the qualities were of the Buddha, what the qualities of the Buddha are, and the Dhamma. These will become apparent from hearing someone who is skilled speak about the Dhamma in terms of theory and practice. And from hearing about it, one will have faith. So faith will arise, whether it is in the Dhamma or in the Buddha. Sometimes people don't feel faith in individuals, but surely faith in the Dhamma will arise. And if there is faith in the Dhamma and or in the teacher, then one will surely come to hear about the practice. And this is Saddhamma Savana, hearing the Dhamma of the wise. And hearing about the Dhamma, one will put it into practice. Samapatipati. One will undertake the practices, the trainings of sila, of samadhi, of panya, as instructed. This is the correct practice. And with the correct practice, one will blow out the nivaranas, dispel the obstacles to wholesomeness, to purity, and become free of defilements, free of mental dirt. And surely the Dhamma, which is hard to see and therefore profound, the Dhamma which is profound and therefore hard to see, will become clearly evident, will become easy to see. All this starts from the request that the Mahabrahma made to the Buddha. And this is a series of causes and effects that lead to the final result. So there's a series of cause and effects. When these are linked together, then one dispels the nivaranas. And dispelling the nivaranas, the obstacles to concentration and to kusala, wholesomeness, then the Dhamma, which is profound and hard to see and therefore profound, will become clear, easy to see. So to be free of the nivaranas, one needs to practice according to the instructions, with respect, meticulous care, and continuously. So this depends on hearing the method. So hearing the method, one comes to know the method, and then one will surely practice correctly once one knows the method, the correct method. Hearing depends on faith in the teacher and in the Dhamma. And if one has faith, this comes from being urged by someone whom one respects. When one has respect for the person urging one to practice, then one will have faith in what they are urging one to do. So then also with faith, one searches for the method. One listens to the method, practices. To the extent one practices, one becomes free of the defilements and sees the Dhamma, which is difficult to see and profound. So for those who practice with respect and care, all these links have been connected. They're able to see the Dhamma through having gone through this series of listening, learning, practicing, and so on. So Sayadaw urges all the yogis to make this Dhamma, which is hard to see and therefore profound, profound and therefore hard to see. Please try to make it easy to see by dispelling the nivaranas, fighting off the obstacles to wholesomeness with the correct practice. That's all for today. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.